Hey, baby.
Yes, darling.
I got a question for you.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay. So, you keep telling me
Who the hell put the cord on the front of the toaster?
a story about where Renee Brzenk actually, how you feel, saved your life.
Yes, Mrs. John Brzenk.
And I would like to hear that
saved my
story.
life. It was in 2010. I had just moved to. We were in the process of moving from South Carolina to Utah, and I'd been there a week. So I think this is the first weekend. I was in Utah, and Bob Brown and John Brzenk, we all agreed to meet for breakfast. So we did. We met in downtown Salt Lake City. I'd parked my truck behind Bob's Bar. Cheers to you, #1 in Salt Lake City. And then we went and had breakfast. And then we drove up and saw Kevin Bongard, because he owned a little diner up there. And at the time, he had like 100 horses. So we got up there at about 10 o'clock in the morning. So of course we started drinking. And we had a couple of pitchers of beer with Kevin. Bob had just bought a cabin and he was going to close on his cabin that night. I'm not exactly sure what happened between drinking beer at Kevin's place and then Bob leaving to go close on his cabin. But somewhere in there, me and John ended up at Bob's Bar by ourselves. And we were drinking beer, and then we were drinking stuff that tasted like apples. And then I think the bartenders and the waitresses just started messing with us and just started like pouring us drinks out of like the mop bucket or stuff that other people weren't drinking. I think I got a drink that had cigarettes in there. So anyways, we were like way drunk. And it was, my God, it was like fall. I had moved from South Carolina, so I'm like in South Carolina clothes, and it was like starting to snow flurry and stuff in Utah. But the people in Utah just shrugged that off. They're used to that. So, I was so drunk. I assume John was drunk, but I'm not exactly, I can't remember. The whole evening was kind of fuzzy. Anyways, I was like sick drunk. John got on a train. I'm not exactly sure how this happened, but anyways, I went and got in the back of my truck because I knew I couldn't drive. I could barely get in the back of my truck. And my truck was cold, but I had one of those rubber mats in it, so I kind of tried to roll up in it, you know. Anyways, Bob called back to the bar to check on us, and they said they hadn't seen us, you know. So they sent the bartender and the waitress out to like look for me, and I'm in the back of my truck while it's snowing, you know, and it's not a camper, you know, it's just a pickup truck. And they said they looked around, they couldn't find me. Well, Renee, John's wife, drove up. For some reason, I think it was in a Volkswagen Beetle. I'm not exactly sure. But she looked and looked and looked, and evidently I had like leaned over the tailgate of my truck and thrown up, I don't know, once, twice, maybe a dozen times. Well, anyways, Renee found me and somehow got me into her car. Now I'm like 220 pounds and Renee's like
Teeny tiny.
Yeah, like
teeny tiny.
90 maybe. You know, I mean, she could pose for trophies, you know, she's just tiny. But she got me into her car and took me to their house. I would have froze to death out there that night. I mean, it's snowing, I'm in the truck. They put me on the couch, and it was funny because their dogs weren't sure what was happening. So when I finally started waking up in the morning, I'd hear this dog, click, 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 and he'd see me on the couch, and he'd turn around, and he'd go back. And that went on, you know, for a couple of hours. But, yeah, woke up, Renee played it off like it was no big deal. And I'm almost thinking this might have been one of the very first times I met her.
Oh, really?
I'm thinking because, like, we probably would have run into each other at events and stuff, but I mean, I'm not sure if I'd met her before then. It wasn't that often, you know. But yeah, that's how Miss Renee saved my life in 2010 Utah.
Thank you very much, Renee.
Yeah, yeah. I owe her the last 15 years, you know, because that was 15 years ago.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.